This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks again, and sorry for the yesterday's uh, the issue what we had with the my laptop. Um, just give me a few seconds. I'll just mute few people. So what we'll do is today for the first of or first few minutes, I was mentioning about the while we do a normal functional testing, right? I was saying that few are going to be automated and few are going to be manual. The way we are going to conduct this, the DAST, right? If you remember, I was mentioning about the SAST, SCA, DAST, and IAST are the part of your application security testing, right? So in the application security testing, when across life cycle, we will do these 4 different scans for various purpose. In that, DAST is the one which is of where they will involve the testing team for both running the automated scan as well as exploration using the using our experience of the application plus the security testing knowledge. We would explore the application manually and then find out the vulnerabilities. So it's always going to be 2 things. One is a tool like AppScan or Burpsuit. We can run an automated scan by providing the URL. Plus, with our knowledge, with the way the application works, with the way the user navigates through various screens, we'll also go and explore and find the vulnerabilities, right? So that is why, from a manual exploration perspective, right, uh, um, you need security SME knowledge definitely. Plus, if you are already a tester, right, a functional tester, it would be more advantage because the functional tester will know a lot about the functionality, will know a lot about the way the end users are going to use the application, so they can just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry guys. So the functional tester can actually do more exploration based on their experience with respect to the functionality, right? And even today, you without your knowledge, you might already be covering very certain passive scenarios, right? While you navigate, you would be still able to, even if you are not a security tester, while you do the functional testing, manual testing, you can still go and find out certain vulnerabilities, and then report that both as a functional bug as well as a security bug. Okay, so more from that understanding, I'll just spend few minutes on a couple of examples, uh, and then we'll go forward with the other sections. Okay, let me take this example. Yeah. Okay, I have mentioned few of the validation which you as a functional tester can do even today. Okay, I'll not go through all the 11. We'll be looking into it everything detail later. I'll probably take a couple of examples and then just for you to understand, right? Um, uh, One, how the passive scanning is going to work, and how you as a tester can find out this vulnerability on your own. Okay, so let's take an example of URL manipulation, input validation. I think I spoke about this a little bit on the other day as well, right? Um, from a hacker perspective, he's going to um, get into your URL, launch the URL in the browser, okay, and the way you might feed in the input and then try to get some data out of it. It's all through the available whatever available option in your UI, right? The available options are your URL, all the input fields. It could be your login or password fields. Your once you log in, you will have a lot of form fields. Those are the area where you can type in or feed in some data, right? So either by entering some SQL commands or injecting some JavaScripts, or probably just randomly typing in some data, you will try to gather information, or you'd be able to get some data out of your application. So all these are all the entry points. For entry points for the hacker to steal the data is by doing something on the URL, changing something in the URL, because it is an editable field, and then in all your input fields. Okay. For example, let me go to this site. Okay, and then let me go to this. Okay, so if you see here, from a previous page, I click this view account details and then said go. Okay, so here if you see, in this URL, you see this list account equal to some 8 lakh, right? Now, if I go and probably manipulate my URL, say I give as 1, right? First of all, if you see now, if I type in some data for that particular check-in account, it is giving me some level of data, right? So obviously the actual banking account is not going to be like this, but you take any application anywhere, as I said, the URL is going to be one of the um, uh, entry gate, or one of the channel through which you would be able to do something, manipulate something, right? I can go and say equal to all. Okay, so it gives me the Java exception error, internal server error, because there is I mean, is equal to all is not accepted. Okay, now you will think that, okay, I have the hacker has given, or you as a security tester has given, try to explore this by changing something in the URL. You're giving all, and the server did not give you any response, which means it is good, right? You will say that, okay, the site has been developed properly. It is not allowing to feed in this all kind of keyword. That is still correct, right? But if you see, it is responding with lot of errors, which is not required for the user to know. As an end user, do you really need to know it is a com.ibm.security or Java X servlet? So it is giving our log in the to the user itself. Okay, which means it is revealing unwanted information about the kind of server or kind of packages that is used by your application. If you see in one of the apps, right, there's something called information disclosure. Okay, the information should not be disclosed to the end user. Unwanted information should not be disclosed to the end user. Okay, so as part of the error handling, okay, though it didn't give me any accounts, right? It didn't give me any details about the all accounts, but it unwantedly it gave me the exception and the stack trace also. This is also a bug. Okay, this is also a bug from disclosing certain information. It says that there is a Tomcat. They are using certain packages from com.ibm.security. So all these things are the information to an hacker. Okay, so you and me as a security tester will not be able to use this and do anything harmful to the application, but a hacker who is very intelligent, right, can probably try to gather as much as information possible, so that he can do something else with this data. So we as a tester, you should not worry whether this information will lead to a hacking. It might or might not, right? But disclosing any information itself is a security bug. Okay, it will come under information disclosure OAPS category. And when you see this kind of a exception, detail errors, even when you do a functional testing, it is a security bug. Okay, so I was talking about URL manipulation. From a URL manipulation perspective, yes, maybe it didn't give me that all the account, but still I could able to change the um, the account directly from here. In fact, in the URL, you should not allow these account numbers or other key information to be edited, right? It is allowing you to do it. Okay, so for example, let me go to one more example in this site. Okay, let me go to this rules. Okay, it is logged out. One second. Okay, I'm editing this rule. Okay, now if I go and directly uh, manipulate my URL and then say I give 100. Okay, it says 404 not found. Okay, unlike what we see here, it is not giving lot of other information. Okay, uh, those tag trace it didn't give here, but still there is one more line called NGINX 1.20.1. Okay, so it is giving me the information. This site is hosted in the NGINX version 1.20, which is again a security bug. Even if it should not reveal any software, any hardware, any server related details to the user. It can say just 404 not found, that is still okay. But providing even this single information, still it is a security bug. Okay, so uh, uh, when you do a functional testing, and then you will not go and do this manipulation as a negative test case, but still as part of the validation, you should not be able to manipulate the URL and then get into the system, or the exception or error that comes out should be at a very high level, saying that something is went wrong, or 404 or 500, that is fine, but not any other information should be disclosed. Okay, fine. This is one of the examples. Second, so one of the channel is this URL, right? That is where you can do something to get into your system. Similarly, you will have this search, you will have the input fields, through all which you would be able to get into the system, right? You can type something and then try to gather information either through error messages, or you can we'll be dealing with the SQL injection and JavaScript injection as we go forward. I'll give an example. Okay, let me type in this. I'll type in some user ID, okay, and some password, which is the wrong one anyway. Okay, and I click login. Okay, so here if you see, this is a normal your login functional test case, right? You provide a proper user ID and password, you log in, you give a wrong user ID and password, and then whether you see whether it is getting logged in or not. It's a negative use case. Here if you see, it says the username is not registered on the site. Okay, which is correct, and it didn't log in. Functionally, it is correct, but from a security perspective, okay, this will come under authentication authorization. Again, one of the top OOPS top 10. Okay, you should not say, let me go parallelly. Okay, and then I'll do a sign off, and then I'll do a sign in. Okay, I'll say admin one. Okay, here it says login failed. We are sorry, but this username or password was not found in the system. Okay, it didn't say me whether your username is wrong or password is wrong. Whereas here it said this is not registered on the site. Okay, so when hacker is trying to feed in some random user ID, random password, okay, you should not know whether the user ID is correct or password is wrong or user ID is wrong. So this information is not correct from a security perspective. Again, it should say login failed. If you are a genuine user, you will register or you will log in with a proper ID. Okay, this could be a negative test case which you might be testing it, but the message which comes out as a security bug. Okay, and one more thing, interesting thing, again from an input validation, right? There's something called input validation. Okay, whatever input you provide, it has to be validated by the browser itself. For example, I give this something called select star from login. Okay, and then I give something like this. Okay, and then I click login. Whatever the input fields, that should be a minimal level of validation for special characters, some of the keywords, some of the words which will be blacklisted for all these kind of hacking. The browser has to validate it. That there has to be a client-side JavaScript that has to run to validate this input. Okay, if you see here, it says the username select from login is not registered on the site, which means it has taken whatever you have given it in the input, right? We have given this as input. It has taken that and it has passed into your backend server, and the backend server took this entire thing as a username and it has validated against your database and it has written. That is again not a correct thing. Whatever you give, it should not take it as it is. There has to be some level of input validation your browser should do. Okay, this again is a costly mistake which can lead to a lot of security issues. Okay, so what is input validation? And this looks like a SQL query, right? Select star from login. Okay, these things we'll look into it later, but just for your understanding, these are the various channels, right? Your URL, your form fields, or the channels through which you can the hacker can manipulate and then try to gather the information for creating a hacking strategy. Okay, I'll probably give some examples of the error handling as well. Some interesting error handling, right, by some of these websites. Okay, if you see here, the first error, it says that warning F open, fail to open stream. In the error message, should not have anything that is related to the your directory structure, file structure in your Linux or Windows box. Okay, you do something, you provide some input and submit it, or you upload something and submit it, right? It should say that upload failed, or it should be a business specific error message, right? For a user plain English, it should be sent as a upload is failed or download is failed, or if we couldn't able to process the data, that kind of a generic message has to is what it has to come. Okay, not the thing like disclosing your folder structure or your file system in your machines. These are the few examples from the various websites for you to understand what kind of sensitive data that can be exposed. Right here in the first example, it is exposing your directory. file system directory. The second case, right, it shows the database error. So you type in some username, you type in some password, right? Um, you get an exception saying that it's a database error. You have an error in your SQL syntax near whatever it is. Okay. Again, anything related to the database, is it a database error or is it a service error or it is a MQ error? No, nothing on technical aspect should be given to the end user in the UI. The exceptions, the trace, whatever we saw live in that UI, right? And the server information like Apache 2.4, Ubuntu server, nothing should be there for the UI. So whenever you navigate to your in your application, you do anything, the error should be very business specific or plain 404 or 500 or uh, um, uh, something went wrong or we couldn't able to process. That kind of a message is what it should come out, not anything on your file system or database or your exposing your server information or your technology related information. Okay. So a lot of these things is something you might be already testing it, finding out a problem, but just that you are not flagging it as a security bug. Okay, but a lot of things you can do it with the request and response, right? In a developer tool, when you test it, normally when you do a functional testing, we might not look into the developer tool, right? So when you look into the developer tool, and there are a lot of things you can uncover by looking into the your response header, response body, right? We'll look into it in detail later, but these are the things which without even using a tool like a burpsuite or appscan, just by browser itself, these are the very easy things and low hanging issues which you can identify very early in the life cycle itself. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, guys, fine. There were a lot of questions in the chat on the other day, which I took it and then copied, and there are also a few other questions that came in later directly. Right, I have compiled it somewhere. Um, let me go and take that sheet and then probably go over one by one as many as possible. Just give me a few seconds. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, right, either on the sessions or the topic which we are going to cover or in general, you can put it in the chat while I try to open that sheet. Just give me a few seconds.
Sorry,
Sorry, I
voice
was
is not
speaking.
audible, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was speaking mute. Sorry. So one of the question was, what is a proxy tool and how different it is from Zap or Burpsuite, right? Um, any tool you in the dast, right? Zap or burp suite or app scan, but it is going to have one of the component which is going to capture the traffic. So your from browser, the requests are going to routed through your the proxy tool, which is nothing but your Zap or burp suite or app scan will act as a proxy tool. Okay. So when I navigate to this page in the network tab, you see all this my account, and when you click on something, all the requests will be captured here, right? So what will happen is it won't go directly with the proxy tool. When I have the burp suite or app scan opened and configured, the request will be routed to your proxy tool, and then you can observe what request is coming, and then you can forward it directly, or you can edit and then send it, right? So there are cases where you need to observe all the request and response, and in some cases you wanted to probably change something in the request body or your request URL or something on the header. You can do all these intrusion and then send it. Okay, that's general characteristics of all the Dast tool. Okay, let me show you very quickly. Says something called proxy, right? You turn on this proxy. Now the intercept is on. Okay, let me open the browser. You can either open the browser from here itself. It will open a session for you. It is opening. Okay, and then let me type in ecommerce.test.k6. So when you type in this, if you go back, it will appear here. Okay, until you forward it. Okay, the request will not be sent to the server. You will still see it. It is still spinning. Okay, now I can go and say forward. Okay, the request will be now forwarded, and then you will see the page now. Okay, so which means from the browser, the request will be queued to will be sent to your proxy tool, which is nothing but your burp suite here, and then the response will come directly to your browser. Okay, and there might be, say, for example, there's a one more called get CSS family. It is trying to get a style sheet. Forward, forward, and then again forward, forward. Now the page will be completely displayed. Now if I again go and say do a cart. Okay, see, get slash cart here. Okay, now if I want to go and change something, I can go and change it, and then send it. I can do all these kind of intrusion. Okay, I'll forward it. Okay, that's the job of your proxy tool. Okay, and then if you go and then go to the target, or rather go to the HTTP history, you will see all the requests that are sent so far. Okay, and then all the requests and response. This is useful because if you wanted to pick a particular request, you can, if you wanted to send it to the server again and again, or probably modify something, all these things you can do it. Okay, if you come here, okay, and then go to the cart, and then right click it, you can send it to the repeater. Intro, there's a lot of components here. Intruder, repeater, we'll look into it everything later. Okay, so for example, send to repeater, right? There's something called repeater. I go here, I can, instead of hitting this from the browser, I can send it here. I can change something from here and then send it. You'll get the response here. Okay, so that's a job of this is not only with websuite. In all the Dast tool, this is how it is going to work. The main job of the Dast tool is you can traverse through manually, you can proxy it, you can capture it, and then you can observe the request and response. And if you want to change something and then modify it and send it, all these things you can do it, right? In addition to the automated scan is a little different, where without even you manually navigate through your UI, right? You can come here, give the URL, and configure the credentials, and you can run the scan. That is totally different, automated scan. But manual exploration, this is how you do it through a proxy tool. So there's no difference between a proxy tool and a Zap or Burp Suite. Every dash tool will have a proxy component. Your Zap will have a proxy component. Your Burp Suite will also have a proxy component. Any dash tool will have a proxy component in it. Okay. There's one more. Yeah. What is false positive? Um, False positive is a generic term. Okay. So normally the tool, when you run an automated scan, okay, using Zap, especially using Zap, kind of an open source tool, right? It will give you a lot of issue as a vulnerability. Okay. And not all issues are the actual security threat. Sometimes, since it's an automated tool, sometimes it might say this is a vulnerability. Okay. The security SME, uh, the experienced security SME, with his experience, he can actually classify that as a false positive and say that, okay, this is not really an error. Let me not give it to a developer. And this false positive is very very frequent in the SAST kind of scans, right? When a SAST tool like a check marks, when it is going to scan through the code, okay, it is just going to go line by line, and then it can give you thousands of security issues. Okay, so developer will not go and fix everything. He will go and validate those errors and then say that no, we have implemented properly only, we have done a proper sanitation, we have handled done the input validation properly, and then he will say that it is a false positive. He will provide a justification and then he will say that it is a false positive. So false positive is it is not an issue, but it is reported as an issue. That is what a false positive means, and it is a very common term in the security testing. Okay. Can you explain what is SQL injection? SQL injection, I'll explain it later. We have a good 2 or 3 sessions later. As name says, SQL injection. Okay. Um, if the UI and the backend is not, if they have not implemented proper um, validation of the input, then if you type in the field, right, as I was showing here, in the input fields, why you can directly key in some of these queries, select star or delete, or all it can be a destructive query, or it can be query through which you can retrieve data, select, right? So if an application allows you to enter any SQL query through these form fields, whether you get the required data back or not, that doesn't matter. But through these form field, through these any of these input fields, it should not allow you to enter any of these SQL queries. Okay, and SQL injection is one of the popular injection through which hacker can gather a lot of information, and it can also destroy a lot of data from your table or database. Okay, so SQL, as name says, it's an injection, SQL injection, wherein you can inject SQL in the application through these input fields to gain information or to destroy your data. Okay. I don't have a coding or dev knowledge. I think that it is a very common question from many of you. It is not required. The coding knowledge is not at all required. Definitely. Okay, for doing the security testing, especially with the DAST, um, it is not required to have a coding knowledge. Will I get a recorded videos? Yes. Like the way you got the recorded videos on Monday, sorry, for the Monday's class, you would have got a recorded videos on Tuesday, next day. So every day we will record it, and then next day you will get the recorded video, and then that video will be available for you ever. There is no expiry date for those videos, so it is going to be always available in your under your subscription or under your playlist. Okay. where I can get all the softwares. So few you can download it directly from the internet, and few, not few, whatever I'm going to use it, you will be able to download it from the my drive. Okay, I'll provide access to the drive through which you'll be able to download this Wireshark or your Burp Suite Community Edition, whatever that is required for you to do the hands-on what I'm doing it. Pretty much everything is going to be available in the drive, and I already given access to the drive for a few people who have already registered. So either from the internet you can download directly, or from the drive also you can download it. What is SCA? SCA, I think I explained you. It is your software composition analysis or composite analysis. It is mainly your dependencies, right? For a software to be developed, you will have your own custom code, plus you will have other libraries, softwares, either from the open source libraries, or the things like Oracle, your InfluxDB, your Kafka. All these are all either a, open source software or a commercial software, right? So apart from your own application code, which we will anyway scan it using SAST or DAST, right? But you need to also make sure that there is no vulnerability available with those packages, those libraries. uh, it could be any software. It could be Java, it could be Oracle, it could be your Selenium jar files, it could be your the jar file which you use to connect to your database. So all these dependent third party libraries has to be scanned. So it is called as your software composition analysis. Okay, so all the open source third party libraries has to be scanned to see whether that version of it could be, say, Java 14 or Java 12 or InfluxDB 8, right? All these version has to be scanned and say that okay, this version is up to date, or this version is having the known vulnerabilities. Then you have to upgrade to the latest version. Okay? So that SC analysis will be done automatically by tools like Black Duck. Every release, or every time a pipeline runs after a new development, right, or deployment, this black duck scan will run, and then it will look into all the software libraries, and then it will say that these are the list of jar files or dependencies which are outdated and has to be updated. That is going to be automated scan. So like SAST, we will not be there to validate or anything. Maybe we need to ensure that there are no open issues. So otherwise, there's nothing there for us to learn and do it here for the SCA. Yeah, pretty much. I think I have covered everything. Other things I think I've already answered to you. Performance tester, how it is going to help me in the career and all. Any other questions? I think there's a chat here. One second. Anybody ask any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, the tools you are using, right, for this training. Okay, so consider after this course, can we use these tools in our project? Why? Because our project is a secure one, right? So can we directly use this tool, and can we in our lawyer environment, can we test this one, or we need to get some?
No. No, you need to definitely get for your project. You need to get approval first of all. See, the passive scan with the developer tool. You look into the request and response. You look into the headers. You look into the response from the your action. Those things and all, nobody is going to stop you to doing the validation, right? And then you observe something. If you think that it is not a right one from a security point of view, you can go and raise a defect. But do a scanning by manipulating some data, injecting the SQL and all, you are not allowed. So the tools like Burp Suite or any other tool, DAS tool, right? You should not be using it until otherwise you have a approval from your projects. So there are two things: active scan and passive scan. Passive scan you can do because it is not going to intrude, it is not going to change anything the way the application is going to work. So that you can do it and then find out problems and you report, nobody will have a problem. But apart from that, you should not try to manipulate or change something using these proxy tool. That is not allowed until otherwise you have a proper permission.
Okay, so in our project, okay, they are giving to the third-party vendor for this pen testing and security testing. Okay, so they are giving the some environment, pre-prod environment for the testing. Okay, so they are doing the scanning and other stuffs. Okay, so so they are third-party, right? So how that is possible from their side? So we can do the same thing, right? So what will impact us? You are getting my question?
It is not. Yeah. See, you're saying that they are anyway giving that environment to third party and they are doing that security testing. Why can't we do it? Is that your question,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay. See, there are two things. One, they give to third party. Uh, the reason could be you in your project you might not have a dedicated security team, security experts, right? That could be one reason they are outsourcing to a third party. Or in a lot of organization they want to do a thorough um, validation more from a third party perspective, right? Doing the security testing or scanning within a team, they might think that the team might not
Yeah, I
uncover a
understand. They
lot of
don't have
issues,
a
so there could be multiple reasons.
yeah, correct. See, they don't have confidence, so they're giving to third party. That's fine.
uh,
My
uh,
question is, okay, the tool is doing the same thing, right? Whatever they are doing. I'm not talking about third party. So will that
mhm,
impact? See, it's going to scan the application, okay, completely.
mm,
So we
mm,
are
mm,
also going to the tool, right? But you are telling that we need to approval is fine. What will be the
mhm,
other
mhm.
impact? I'm asking.
There won't be
Anything, anything
there
like
won't be
code?
any See, there won't be any impact. Only thing is you might it is a separate environment altogether anyway, right? Only thing we need to make sure is you take a database dump properly, because when you do the scanning, it will delete a lot of things into a table. So you might need to take a database dump before you do a scan. Okay, but that is one point you need to aware of. But what your question is, if they do it, why can't you do it? Provided we have a tool and permission, is your question, right? You can definitely do it. Okay.
Yeah.
From a skill set perspective, from experience perspective, it is not only automated scan, right? Automated scan plus manual testing as well, because automated scan can probably uncover say 60% or 70% of the problems, but you need a manual SME knowledge plus your functional knowledge together is where we go and manually explore and find problems. So it's down to only the skill set. If your team has a skill set, I don't think there is nothing difference between what they do and what we will do.
Okay. So
You can
one
do it
more
if you have
question.
access to tools. You can do it.
Yeah, one more question. Like in previously, before some years back, we used a tool IBM App Scan, right? We just give the
Yeah,
URL of the application. Okay,
yeah.
it will be completely. It will give all the report, and finally it will give you a PDF report. Okay, but I'll
Mm,
be giving just only the URL of the application, any
correct,
URL. Okay,
correct, correct.
so it will completely scan and it will give the report which are all the flaws. Okay,
Mm, mm,
so
mm,
will
mm.
that be the same thing happening
Yeah, yeah.
in tool?
Every tool, yeah, IBM AppScan is now with HCL, right? HCL brought that tool.
Okay,
Every DAS tool will have these options where you just provide the URL, and if it is an authenticated application, you need to provide the you need to probably record that login page and then give that details, or you have to provide that user ID and password, and you have to give that element name or label name where to give that user ID and password. That is the only information you need to give it. Okay, once you give that, it will crawl through, it will go and crawl to your various pages. First of all, that will happen, the crawling will happen, and then it will try to do the attack. It will try to inject the SQLs, inject the JavaScript to all the possible form fields. It will try to manipulate the URL, and it will look into all the headers and response, and then it will provide you the comprehensive report. So every tool, be it as a burp suite or AppScan or Fortify, that is how the every dash tool works.
Okay.
Yeah. But only that is one part of the scanning I am saying. But the other part is still you need the. We have seen many times in our products as well. And the way your SME explore and find out certain problem will not be covered by your automated scan. So it is always going to be both together. But to answer your question, that is the characteristics of every dash tool. You provide the URL and then the basic credentials to login. It can crawl, it can scan, it can provide a report.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one
whatever.
question.
Yeah.
Please.
Shall I take it up, sir?
Yeah, good.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So when it comes for functional and the performance, right, in agile methodology, so in the sprint wise, like based on the user stories, we'll be doing a functional testing, and after the functional testing, again the sprint wise, we'll be taking the user story for the performance testing also. The same thing for the security also will be having a user stories, or once the entire application is developed, we'll be doing testing, or when it comes to the agile methodology, we'll be having a user story.
So normally, what we do in the agile way of product delivery, right? You will have multiple sprints, you will have multiple builds, and you will have multiple sprints, and then a release, right? That is how your product will be deployed in production. The SAST will be the SAST scan, right? The code level scan will be running for within a sprint. For example, a sprint can be say 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, there can be multiple builds. Okay, developer will probably have a separate branch for the security scanning. Maybe every 3 days or every 5 days, there will be a SaaS that will be running within a sprint. Okay, so which means within a release, in multiple sprints, multiple times, your SaaS will run in the automated pipeline. Which we will not be there, right? Right? Testers' role is not there. When it comes to DAST, even for within a release, if there are 4 sprints, right, we recommend to run the scan only at the end of the 3rd sprint or 4th sprint. Not for every build or every sprint we will do the security testing. See, functional testing will happen in sprint, right? In sprint, you will do the regression. You will also validate the new functionality. Performance also same thing. You might, for every sprint, you might run the regression performance testing, and then you'll also probably testing the new functionalities. But when it comes to DAST, it's a DAST scans takes a lot of time, and to analyze the DAST report as well, it is going to take some time. So we don't recommend DAST to be running for every build or every sprint. Rather, within a release, at the end of the if there are 4 sprints, end of the 3rd sprint, you might run one DAST scan and start analyzing it, and then at the end of the sprint 4, the last sprint, you will again run a scan, automated scan plus your manual exploration once before you go to the production. So for every release, you will do most of the time you will end up doing only one time the DAST before going to your production. Not like performance or functional where you throughout the release we will be doing it. No, only once in a release the team will be doing the DAST.
Yeah, okay, sir, got it.
Yeah.
So will you cover pen testing also? Yeah.
Penetration testing, as I said, right? Mostly the word pen will be at a network level or at the infra level. Okay. Though some places they also say penetration testing as application testing, but it's not actually. Okay, pen testing is not going to be covered here. It's more at a network level, infra level. You penetrate, right? You do a penetration testing. This is only the application level security testing. So we are not going to cover the penetration testing here in this course. Yeah, because this is very tailored for a jump start for the beginners to get into this security testing, right? 12 to 14 days of the course time. So this is tailored very specifically for a specific purpose, application security, for you to get into this at a beginner level. So pen testing or
Okay.
more advanced topic will not be covered here.
But they used to tell pen testing in my project. That's why I asked that.
Yeah. You're true. The pen testing, which means it could be at the network level or the infra level, they do this pen testing. Okay. So from tomorrow, we will be starting with the concepts, right? The security testing concept of TCP, your UDP, HTTP, HTTPS, all these HTTP methods, cookies, encryption, hashing, all these things from a concept perspective, we will be getting started. So if you still have any questions, you can feel free to message me. We can probably connect over the call tomorrow offline for you if you have any clarification. Okay. Or if you have any questions on the registration or payment, you can reach out to the admins in the WhatsApp group or to the Kumar sir. Okay, I'll stop it here. We can meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.